Hey everybody, this is Emily Josephine with my July 2015 garden update. What you're looking at right now is a pumpkin plant, but before I go on, remember if you click the link below the video, you can get access to a bunch of free reports to help you with your financial situation and doing better in life in general, so avail yourself of that. Okay, so this is a sweet dumpling pumpkin plant, and there's another one on the other side that's not doing quite as well, but that's okay, because how many pumpkins do you need anyways, but with the three of us. And I'm looking for the fruit. Oh, it's hiding way over here. It's actually starting to fruit out. If I can get that carrot out of the way. There we go. See? Another one growing right next to it. So it is producing fruit now. And there's another one similar to this that's volunteered in the brush pile that I can't quite tell. It has a fruit that looks like a sweet dumpling pumpkin, but I have no idea how one of those seeds would have gotten there. So we'll see what it turns into. Alright, lots of the carrots have gone to seed, and it's real pretty, and the pollinators like it. You know, carrots won't be any good, but I'm not planning to collect these seeds, but they are pretty, and you know, it's companion planting. They help, you know, kind of confuse the pests that might bother the pumpkin. Alright, I'll bring it over here. Look at my peppers in the pot. Much bigger than last time, and I've now got a flower. I've got a flower and a couple more buds. There's the flower, and then we've got a couple of buds. This teeny tiny one that was stripped completely of all leaves when it was only like yay high in its pot. It's come back and it's starting to grow. A grasshopper decided it was yummy. I guess it was a grasshopper or something, but it is still growing. Now before I go into the garden proper, I do want to make a confession. I want you to see the state of our apples. They do not look good. They look as diseased as the trees did. That one is probably no good. We probably just need to cut that off. But, you know, they're pot bound, which probably isn't helping, and apples are just difficult to raise, I understand. They tend to get insect and disease problems more easily than, say, the stone fruits and figs and other things like that. So at this moment, I'm not planning to buy any more apple trees because I like things that don't take a lot of work, and you don't have to, I mean, I'm not going to be spraying. I don't even like doing organic sprays because the beneficials can be killed by organic sprays and repelled and stuff, and so we'll just have to see how these turn out in a couple of months, but they don't look that good. As you look at my New Zealand spinach, I do want to throw out that we've harvested all our peaches. A lot of them stayed on the tree and didn't get ripe and didn't get very big, and I'm sure that's a pot-bound issue too. But we did get probably a dozen peaches that were, you know, nice, and we have a bunch more now, seeing if they'll get ripe on the counter. But the New Zealand spinach doesn't really love hot weather like, say, red Malabar spinach, and it'll stop growing really when it hits 90 degrees consistently. So if it looks like there's less New Zealand spinach now, it's because obviously I've been cutting it and using it. Use it for green smoothies in the morning, and it's slower to grow back. Now once September comes, it'll start growing again a lot more profusely. Okay, I'm thrilled about the raspberries. The first crop of raspberry was hardly anything, but now I've got all sorts of raspberries and some even little fruits on the new canes. So I'm excited about that. We're going to have a lot more raspberries for our fall harvest. Yeah, you can get 2 harvests with raspberries, so that's awesome. The pole beans are mostly not fruiting. You see, I do have a teeny tiny green bean here. But I think what happened is we had about 3 weeks of rain that caused flooding here. It was cloudy a lot of time, of course raining. Well, when it rains, the wasps and bees aren't out to pollinate. So I think what happened is, for the most part, because I had flowers, I think they didn't get pollinated because the pollinators were hiding from the rain. And then it got to be 90 degrees, you know, in the upper 80s, lower 90s, and beans really don't like that. I'm not sure if the flowers go sterile when it gets too hot, like many tomato varieties, but I'm thinking that's what's going on. But I'm going to let these crazy things keep growing. I mean, I'm 5'3", and I'm reaching my hand up as high as it goes, and you can see how much farther it's climbing this pole. But I'm going to leave all my pole beans if they don't shrivel up and die, and hopefully in September we'll get some more. But let me show you that. Let's see, this one right here. This one actually was the first to produce, and the one that's produced the most green beans. I think that one there and the other one in the corner have given me a handful of green beans between them. So we'll see what happens. Alright, check out my sweet potato area. Lots of weeds. Yeah, I know I need to get to it, but the sweet potatoes are going to spread, and I'm hoping they'll block the sun from helping the weeds to grow. But as you can see, the sweet potato vines are spreading, and there's another one. Now this one's really going to town. It's spreading in 4 different directions. This in the middle is a Crenshaw melon. It volunteered. We had several melons that weren't good enough. They just kind of rotted before they were good enough to eat, so we just let them rot in the garden, and the seed germinated, and it does have baby fruit on it. So like last year, it's going to be a mess of melon and sweet potato. Rosemary's getting huge. That one. I'm probably going to propagate them this fall, take cuttings and root them, and get more rosemary. Okay, this bed is still pretty empty. There's a little baby oregano and some flowers at the end. The garlic have pretty much died back, but supposedly they're going to come back again because there's bulbs underneath. They're going to come back and grow, and when they do, I'll never have to plant garlic again. I'll be able to harvest forever. Volunteer ground cherry, which, you know, it's a wild edible, and there's nothing else in this bed. So, well, the calendula took a while to blossom, but there it is, doing great. Let me show you some of my Cherokee purple tomatoes are actually turning color. I've got a bunch of them. Got a bunch of Cherokee tomatoes, and also the Benjamin. You might look for maybe these blossoms may have just fallen off. Otherwise, you might want to look for a tomato hornworm. But I think I don't see any leaves gone, so it's probably just sometimes the buds of a tomato will fall off when it gets too hot. Anyway, and we're getting cherry tomatoes and orange pear tomatoes. Oh, there's a green bean I missed earlier. I cooked beans for lunch. I missed that one. See, I told you this one produced beans. Anyway, the cherry tomato and orange pear tomato volunteer have been the first to produce, and we've had a few little tomatoes, huge basil, they're going to flower. I think this might be a Rutgers tomato, this one. But check out more Cherokee purple. Cherokee purple, turning color there. My volunteer zinnia went crazy. See that right here. There, that's the flower garden. Right here, the zinnia I'm pointing to down there, that's not the flower garden. That's actually technically the vegetable garden. I had a lot of volunteer zinnias in the basil. This volunteer zinnia got way huge. All right, cucumber. Right now I have one decent cucumber. The other one died. See, this serves me right for transplanting. And it's intermingled with Chinese long bean. The Chinese long bean was a volunteer. But I'm going to show you we have lots of baby cucumber. And get around the zinnia and I can show you one that's going to be ready to eat. Where was the big one? Where was the big one, Benjamin? There was a pretty big one. There we go. There, that one will be ready to eat in a few days. So yay! I mean, once this really starts producing, one is all we need. We have planted new seeds. We'll see how that goes. Okay, and here's my red Malabar spinach. I need to get around. Thank you. I have red Malabar spinach that doesn't know where to go, so it's just trying to climb up in the air right here. Lots of red Malabar. You plant red Malabar spinach once and once only, and it freely reseeds and it'll grow in places you don't want to. This is awesome. Look at this. This tomato broke off. Let me see if I can get to it. Right? No, I don't know where it is. It must have rotted. But anyway, the stem broke off. It just broke off. It was completely off. Well, I shoved it in there. I dug a little hole, shoved it in the ground, watered it really well. Look at that. It still has green leaves, tomatoes turning color, and let me show you what I had a sucker. Way down there, it's growing back. Tomatoes are really awesome at rooting. So I was really pleased that happened. Okay, I do have a few tomatoes that have gotten icky and moldy, maybe because of too much rain. More pole beans here. Strawberries are done. They have some flowers. They've been producing little fruits, but nothing to write home about. Onion gone to seed, totally. Probably have new onion growth here next fall. Lettuce, totally gone to seed, totally dead. I'm hoping this will be full of lettuce in the fall also. Okay, and this bed, I've covered since we weren't using it for anything else. I covered it with a weed that grows really tall and is really good for mulch, therefore. It grows tall and piles on. So this is another volunteer Chinese long bean. That's a volunteer ground cherry. Another Chinese long bean. And okra. The okra is not volunteer. I planted the seed. And I believe this over here is finally, the other okra that I planted finally decided to germinate. Grasshoppers are having fun with it. We'll see if it survives. Alright, so I think I've mentioned before that next year, this is going to be, I have it, let me show you the asparagus in pot. I've got it. On my baby asparagus, I started them from seed, which most people don't do, but I decided to try it. And so, here's my asparagus from seed. Various stage, the tall ones, obviously, are the ones I started first. But probably this fall I'm going to actually get them in the ground, and in a couple of years we'll be able to start harvesting asparagus. But most of this bed eventually will be asparagus. I had an empty bed, so I planted. If you decide to plant the okra and the Chinese long beans, wanted to volunteer, so I let them. The eggplant I thought was going to totally die. It's been eaten up by something and doesn't look that great, but it has grown 2 new leaves. And we'll just have to see what it does with that. Kind of disappointing, but I'll do better next year when I have decent potting soil. Oh, and what are you showing me? Benjamin's found a bug.
It's a weevil.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there's like little, I think it's a flea beetle that makes those tiny leaves. The blackberries, I was very sad. I put bird netting on them and everything. They're still getting eaten up by something. I've lost most of my blackberries. And the ones that we missed, they've either been eaten up by something or just kind of shriveled up because I didn't pick them in time. So I don't know what I'm going to do with these, but I'd rather just count on the wild. We have lots of wild blackberries around. And they don't get all eaten up right away. So I don't know what the deal is with that. Okay, this will be the last thing, I guess. My bush bean is kaput. This one's dead. This one's almost dead. That one. And that one. Almost dead. But what are these other ones? These other ones are cowpeas. Black-eyed peas. Lots of holes in these too. Some insect or other really likes the taste of these leaves. But you can see they're growing great. And they're probably about to give me buds. And then we'll be able to eat them when they're green. We'll be able to steam them and eat them just like green beans. You don't have to let them dry. Alright, so this is a Chinese long bean that I did plant. It's another Chinese long bean that I did plant. And they are both hanging on. I wanted to cut down these peas because they're so ugly and dried up. Way too hot for peas now. But these Chinese long beans have decided to grow up these peas, so I need to leave them alone. Alright, anything else? I think that's about it. Thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed watching this video update, and by the way, just be prepared. Next year, in the fall. In the fall and the winter. Wait till you see what I've got in this bed. But if you enjoyed watching this update, go ahead and click the thumbs up. I'll see you next time. In the meantime, take care. And be well.